and just do different things to like keep our creativity going, because we are like mostly taking class. So that's them teaching us, not us really, doing what we want to do. And as far as filmmaking, I haven't recorded anything, but I have been really trying to just record myself, like improving. So when I do want to create something on someone else or myself, like I'm ready to like just get it going. But it's been going pretty good. It's been kind of hard adjusting to like being in Austin, but it's a nice city.
Jannah, you said that when you looked at yourself dancing, you said, I don't think I dance like this anymore. Tell us what you feel that you've done that has stretched you.
Okay, so a big thing I feel like with being a dancer is really finding your style and who you are and being comfortable with how you dance. And so I feel like I'm in that weird stage of, okay, I went to a performing arts high school, they trained me, they were teaching me, but now I'm really in this stage now that I'm in college. It's like, okay, what do I like to do? What type of styles do I want to train in? What do I want to put out there like for myself? So that's what I say when watching that video. I feel like if I were to be choreographing my senior solo right now, as a dancer I am right now, I wouldn't probably, it would be like totally different, because as like a dancer, you're always just like growing and finding new ways to move. So yeah, that's why I said that.
Not a question, but a statement. As I mentioned to you before, I would suggest make sure that you get to the communications department. And even if you're not creating films right now, find a filmmaker there, um, and find there are certain professors there. There's one professor there. I think he would be glad to see you. Look for him, but definitely get around, find some people that are, they could be freshmen, they could be sophomores, but those that are early in radio, TV, film, or in their film discipline. And since you're doing creative things, you're always going to need somebody that could film you. Um, Continue to practice, filming yourself also, but find those other people because they're looking for subjects to film instead of them just walking down Guadalupe or walking down 21st and filming buildings. You want them to be able to film you and come, put something together. You might come, end up on the Longhorn Network or something since they have their own network.
Thank you. Good advice.
Miss Holmes, you're on mute.
Thank you. If there are no other questions for Jannah at this time, thank you, Jannah, for uh, giving that wonderful presentation and responding when you asked. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ms. Holmes.
You're welcome. And now for our next guest that needs no introduction, and I'll let him take it from there. None other than Mr. Shawnre Tieuel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shawnre Tieuel. As she said, I don't need any introduction. I'll always take an introduction. So if she could come up with an introduction for me, that would be great. Anything, I know you'll do a good job at presenting me. But basically, in a nutshell, I've been with the NAACP ACT-SO competition as a judge since 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. And I was brought in by Miss Andrea Arsenault, the late Miss Andrea Arsenault, and she brought me in as a filmmaking judge. And I did just filmmaking for several years, and I started getting into the other things. So I ended up doing short story and playwriting. And then this year I ended up doing drawing, painting, sculpture, did a little bit of everything. And I've enjoyed doing that. So Miss Collins, Jannah is one person that I've been in contact with. She's helped with one of my projects, which I'll show you pictures from a little bit later. But a lot of the NAACP ACT-SO creative minds helped with a project last October. If I miss any names, forgive me. I have a list in front of me, but Kiara, Jannah, Kamal was Culinary, Keandre, Imani, and the Hart, Sydney Hart, Ethan Hart, Amari Benzer, Miss Ella Guo, and I had Jade and Daisy from the Salvation Army in San Antonio. So we had people on this project all the way from San Antonio. And so
Curtis
in
and Ella.
dealing with these students, Curtis, yes,
And
yeah,
Ella.
Curtis and Ella Guo. I think I have everybody there. Who else did I have?
I think that's
I think I
everybody.
had, yeah, that was pretty much it. I think that was everybody. Okay, thank you for that. Um, and I realized things came full circle because after I did this project, I realized that several of these people were in my life already, and I had no idea that they were part of AXO. Jannah, like I said, Jannah's cousin, Damien, I grew up with in Lufkin, Texas, East Texas. Kamal, Kamal was our culinary arts scholarship winner several years ago with the John Henry's Culinary Arts. Sydney and Ethan, their parents were on the board with John Henry. And Imani, actually, I went to church with her parents. Her dad actually plays the sax for my sister sometimes. So we know the family very well. And I didn't realize that until like a month ago, that everybody was so connected. But I'm glad to have been part of the process with judging. It's taught me some things. It's taught me to really the things inside our heads as artists. Sometimes we don't really get it out as much. So in order to, when you're judging other people and you're looking at what they're doing and you're taking it aspect by aspect or genre by genre, and even a short period of time, like a 3-minute film or a 4-minute film, it forces you to really think, and you're thinking about trying to bring the most out of these students. One of the things in filmmaking, especially, we don't have that many students in filmmaking over the last few years. I think we probably had the highest amount, 4 or 5, like years ago. But I feel like filmmaking is something that touches every aspect of life and every genre, every subject, your core subjects. Filmmaking covers all of that, especially if you're a documentarian. So sciences, history, English, finance, mathematics, all of those things I've used in my films, and in the 2 films that I'm about to, show you photos on in a little bit. It allows you to, you don't think that you're going to use those subjects in college or in high school. You think that you're just going to drop them. It might be 15 years later or 10 years later, you're going to use them. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, which I really encourage you all to really take into consideration, be an entrepreneur, own your business or co-own your business, and have more control over it. You're young enough at this moment, whether you're in high school or college, you're young enough at this moment to really push the boundaries and make all the mistakes that you can while you're doing it in high school and college, because you do not want to make those same mistakes when you're my age, 46. As a filmmaker, I didn't start filmmaking until I started writing 2004, seriously 2003 to 2004. My first film was in 2005. And I came out of AIG. I was a mathematician, someone that crunched numbers, an actuary. And then September 11th changed my life. It made me decide that I needed to do what I loved. And so I was late getting into that creative game, but it was always there because I loved films and I love music. But I can't sing a lick. Everybody in my family can sing but me, everybody. My mom sang background. My dad sang in plays, even as an engineer. My brother and sister, they still sing now. They have albums. My brother has an album, several albums. My sister sings live. She does covers. I'm the only one that can't sing. So I had to pick up a camera and start doing it. And I started with my Breakfast Club, the Breakfast Club documentary, Breakfast Club, not the talk show, but the Breakfast Club soul food restaurant. I started that back in 2005. Um, but it made me think, I love to do that. I love to interview people. I love dramatic stuff also, which I'll talk about later, but I love to interview people. I just came from an interview with This Is It, their restaurant, with Craig Joseph over there. Um, I'm doing their project, but I love finding out information. I love the history of it. I love, seeing what other people can do and just finding out those things that you don't see all the time. We got pretty in depth in this interview. It's very in depth, and he talks about a lot of different stuff behind the history of This Is It that most people would never even imagine. Um, but filmmaking for me is a creative outlet. While I was, you know, in corporate America, I found myself jotting down stuff. I would carry a notebook, or I would email myself or text myself my stories that I was thinking of, and I found myself doing it quite a bit. So I knew that, it was something that was pulling on me. And then I found later on that my grandmother was a photographer in East Texas. She was the only Black photographer in East Texas between 1940 and 1960. Um, Mainly Dunbar High School, which is no longer. It's they, of course, integration, they changed that. But she was a photographer, and I used to play in her dark room um, where she developed film. I had no idea. If I would have known that, like at a younger age, I might have picked up the cameras at a younger age. And that could have made a difference in the world. I think as filmmakers, the Steven Spielbergs and the people like that, the John Luke or George Lucases, they talk about stories where they had an 8mm camera at 8 years old, stuff like that. And just imagine that. Any discipline that you have, that you're in, if you're a mathematician and you're just constantly studying math from the age of 7 or 8, imagine how good you would be. Dancers, the gymnasts that start at a very young age, swimmers, they have all of that time. By the time they're at college, they've already gotten 8 years or 10 years in that particular genre. So even if you're not a filmmaker, if you're whatever you are, if you're an entrepreneur, or you just want to be the best at what you want to be, you continue to do that and study as such, study among other people. So um, a few of the things that I had listed, let's see, I have so many windows open. So just take these things into consideration. And I'm harping on filmmaking, but they apply to a lot of different things. So one, know your strengths and weaknesses. When you go into a project or when you get into the business, know your strengths and weaknesses. If you're not an early morning person, you have to know that. If you work better at night, you have to know that. As a filmmaker, tell your story. Our people, especially, we are really big on, oh, why can't we tell our story? Why don't we see more of us on television, on the big screen, or places like that? There are a lot of movies out there, whether we get out there to see them or not. There are a lot of movies with our people in them. But tell your story. Make sure that you get that on page, and then you produce it, you shoot it, and you get it done. Surround yourself with experts in each aspect of your business. And then once you do that, you have to find the people that you trust. Those could be mechanics, it could be editors, financiers, lawyers, anything like that. Find the people that you trust and keep them with you. Learn every aspect of filmmaking that you can. Once you do that, you could delegate. You don't have to be perfect in everything, but you could delegate those things, those aspects to other people. That's lighting, sound, editing, cameras. And there's a lot of things in that filmmaking genre that really, different people have to come together to make that film. So there are a lot of people that are necessary for those projects. Once you learn it, continue to learn it, and then trust your instinct. So when you have your story down, trust your instincts, get what you can out of that. And then, if you could get some extra, if you could play around a little bit, then go ahead and do that. Get some extra takes, shoot some extra scenes, take some extra pictures, but make sure you get what's in your head. one of the things, and I told my friend that I was going to talk about this. One of the things is on a shoot a few weeks ago, we were shooting 1959 Houston. It was basically 1959. So basically, we were going back a long way before This Is It was created. And so I had the vehicle, which was a 1964 Chevy, a very nice one. But in my head, I had this visual of what I wanted to get out of this shot, this one particular shot. So I parked the vehicle, the truck as such, where you could see those things. But when I scouted that location, I knew that it would only work if nobody parked along that area, along that side of the building. Nobody could park in that area, because otherwise, if they did, then I would have a 2020 vehicle in my 1959 set. Sure enough, that Saturday morning, we got there and one person parked behind where I wanted to shoot at. And it's not that that shot would not work how we ended up doing it, because my friend suggested, why don't you turn the vehicle this way? It works fine, but it's not the vision. It doesn't present the same aspect, the same perspective as what I had right here. And I couldn't go around trying to knock on doors, trying to figure out whose truck this was, because it wasn't my location in the first place. It wasn't my business. But it's his suggestion works, but it still doesn't present the selection that I wanted. And it doesn't provide that the sky and the backdrop that I wanted exactly. But we did get around that. So be mindful of those types of things and trust your instinct on those things. It's tempting, but don't bring everybody to your project. Be smart about who you bring. Know what situations you want to put those people in specifically. Be solid in your core classes, as I stated already. Whether you're a filmmaker, you're in media or entrepreneurship or mathematics or anything, be solid in those core classes. You don't know when you'll use those sources or those subjects again. Learn to write grants, especially if you're a nonprofit or if you're an individual. Learn to write grants. They will come in handy. Work on becoming thick-skinned, especially as a filmmaker. It doesn't matter how popular the movie is, or the stage play or whatever it is, people are going to tear it down. Not the majority every time, but people will tear it down. This Eddie Murphy movie, The Coming to America, people are 50-50 on it. I liked it. It just wasn't like the first one, but I liked what he did with it. But a lot of people tear it down. And there are arguments. I'm in one of these rooms for Black filmmakers on Facebook, where they argue those types of things. And you just have to pick your battles with that type of thing. So become thick-skinned and use social media, use it as a tool. It becomes personal on social media, but you have to, when you're doing business, you have to learn that, this is a business and it's there to enhance and to promote your work. Every few weeks, I think about leaving social media, and I have friends that have left it, but it is a tool. And if you know that it's a tool from the beginning, then you need to use it as such. And as I stated, filmmaking is one of those businesses that encompasses a lot of different subjects. So it uses everything. So be mindful of that, but find someone that could help you bring your vision to life. I'll speak on judging a little bit. Now, as a judge, a few of the things that we discuss in the room, it's really about presentation. It is about presentation. It's about story. Like Jannah showed the storyboard earlier, that storyboard, so many people miss out on doing a storyboard. That storyboard is like 10 points. It's a nice sizable amount of that. If you don't do the storyboard, guess what? You just talked yourself out of a goal, just like that. It doesn't matter what your film looks like. It doesn't matter what you said in it. You could be Ryan Coogler, Black Panther. You could be the Rocky Creed series, all of those types of things. Beale Street, all of it. It does not matter. If you do not do the storyboard, you've just worked yourself out of getting to nationals or even getting an A, and you're almost out of getting a B, like a silver. You've almost done that just off a piece of paper. Read those instructions, read the requirements. I'll say in terms of time limits, it's a technical aspect. If you go over by a second, technically, yes, you can disqualify yourself. But at the same time, if you have all of those other things in place, your storyboard, you've written some nice work, and you have some visuals like Jannah had, we're gonna watch it, and we're probably gonna watch it like 4 to 5 times each time. Each film that comes in, we're watching it 2 to 5 times in between there. So make sure that you have those things in check. Now, the time limit, like I said, it's a technical aspect. Be sure that you're like right at that time or under that time. But at the same time, if your film is entertaining and you've covered everything, we're going to watch it and we're going to provide feedback on it and on every aspect. The various aspects are like script, tone, lighting, sound. Sound is very important in movies. Sound and lighting are very important. Camera movements, direction. Those are just the basics. And we hit each one of those points. We have a grading system that we have to hit. And I encourage you, if you haven't done it, if you haven't created a film, if you do TikTok videos or whatever, I encourage you to create it. Create something, especially for the NAACP ACT-SO competition. Create something. You never know if you're going to like it or not. If it's not technically good, you know, good is subjective. I've done stuff that's not good. I won't put it out, but a lot of people do things that they consider bad or not so good. Try it out, and ask people. Get people that you trust to see if they understand your story, if they understand it from top to bottom. When you press play to the end, get the people that you trust. Mom, I know when you have your mom and your dad watching, sometimes they're extremely nice on their work. They just want to see you do things, but understand what they're saying to you. Pay attention to what they're saying to you. If they just say, "Oh, it's good," that might not help you as much. You want to ask them questions. Did you understand when this person fell down? Did you understand why this person had a mask? How did you feel when this person, was riding a bike through that trail? Did you feel the music? How did that hit you? You have to ask those questions in order to get some good feedback. And that's what we try to provide as the judges in that competition. And also in the other competitions, whether it's sculpture, drawing, painting, I go through the same process for each one of those. And I have to think, how does this make me feel? What do I feel like this person is trying to say? And have they done that? And are they creating questions where, I never thought about? Those are, if you can make somebody think, make a judge think in a good way, you're probably in a good position. And especially if your sound is already good or decent, and if your visuals are halfway decent. You don't have to have the best camera. You could film with your phone, but make sure that you present something, present an interesting story. We've had some interesting short stories in the last several years, and I've encouraged each one of them, go and make your movie. Make a movie, do something with this. Even the ones that are back, we had a 1400s, it was based in the 1500s short story. Do something, create something with it, and see what you could get out of it. You might shock yourself. So I do, suggest doing that. Any questions to this point? I will show some photos and other things, but if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Anybody? Going once, going twice. All right. So I'll show you a few of the photos. Did you share it? Did you share the screen, Miss
It's still shared.
Miss Evelina?
Yes, it's
It's
still
shared?
shared.
Okay. Okay. So I'll go through a few of the photos on, this is the bigger picture. And I'm not going to show the film because the film ended up being 27 minutes. And when I was telling Miss Avelina that, you know, I was recruiting people, I said, just bring as many people as possible. And I wanted as many people as possible. But it's a 27-minute film. So I sent the link in the email, and I also sent the link of these photos as well, so you can see all of them. But I want to say Amari, everybody, I interviewed everybody. We were in COVID, so COVID restrictions. So I interviewed everybody on Zoom, and it works out pretty well. There are things that I wouldn't do in Zoom, you know, because you're limited to what everybody else, you know, their lighting and everything. But that was the way that we presented it. I only took the aspect at that point of the bigger picture. I took the aspect of pre-voting. So this was, I released it right before the voting day, and I encouraged everybody that was of age to vote. But the clip that you'll see on there is strictly about voting. We spent 27 minutes about voting. That's a half of a feature-length documentary. We talked about voting and how the president made us feel at the time, and how we felt about moving forward. Did we feel like they were strong candidates? Did we feel like Trump was going to help the country? We got into a lot of that stuff. So it ends up being one of those political type documentaries that you'll see on there. But I will say this, there's a dramatic part at the beginning of that clip. It gets into the drama, but it's right before the drama happens. It's a traffic stop. So the police officer pulls over the Harts, Ethan and Sydney. They pull them over. It's a routine traffic stop, and then something happens. It goes awry. So you won't see that in this version. In this next version, you will see the dramatic side of it, and you will see what comes out of that. And we also talk about how the students felt, students and grown-ups, from the COVID restrictions, how it's affected them mentally and spiritually and physically. Also, we discuss police brutality. And I can't say I was shocked by what I heard, but I'll say that it's still sad hearing it. It's still sad hearing it, but we're almost immune to it, it seems like, because we hear it all the time. But those stories did not just happen. They didn't just happen in 2020. They've been going on. They're just brought to the forefront because people are filming them more. But we get into that series of situations also. That'll be in the next version. That'll be the complete version of this film. And it was sponsored by people like, let me show some of the, I didn't show you the pictures. It was sponsored by the We Shall Overcome Fund. I had sponsorship from my friend Jermaine. He did craft services on it. He brought in some food that day. Who else? I had Kiana Harris from the Bridges Behavioral Institute. They discuss, you know, mental health and all of those different aspects. They talk one-on-one with not just teens, but adults also. And she's been instrumental in that. She helped out, she came out, she did the, you know, bagged up everything for COVID restriction type stuff, food and, you know, candy and drinks and stuff like that. And can y'all see those pictures? Some of these pictures? You don't see them?
Let me, my screen share is on.
Let's see. Should I share? Okay, here we go. Now can you see them? Okay, there we go. So let me go back to, you have Kamal that was in the culinary arts several years ago. And we just took them in different settings within the same park. And Amari Venzer is the person that I had on photography on a lot of this while I was filming. So my thing was to try to get them in the superhero mode. So you'll see them in superhero positions, see like this, you know, a lot of the Wakanda type things, and reaching toward the sky, pointing, reaching toward the sky. So I tried to get everybody that I had live, like in front of me, because not everybody could make it, but I tried to get everybody in some type of power positions. And like these were people from San Antonio. So this is a sister team. They're choreographers and singers. And I had people sing "We Shall Overcome." So she was in her, cultural dress, and she did a dance as well as Jannah did her dance. And I did not tell them any particular thing to do in terms of choreography. I asked them to be creative and to be very expressive. And that's what we got in a lot of different ways. Very powerful visuals. And I had each one of the dancers do their routine twice. So on the bridge, around the bridge. This is Imani, she was singing. She has kind of like what's an Etta James tone? I don't know if it's Etta James or if we want to say she has a really soulful type voice. Seeing some of them they're meant to show like a little frustration and power, things like that. Let's just scroll through real quick. But the film is you'll see them dancing and doing different things throughout the film as well, but you'll see these still photos, have her acting like a boxer right there. And like I said, I sent a link to all of these where you can see them. Is there anybody I missed? So you have the hearts. And check out her shirt, melanin, things like that, attention to detail. And they had a very powerful scene in the vehicle during the traffic stop, and they did not even know that they were being filmed at this point. They were just having a discussion. And I looked up on them. I was going to have my niece and nephew do it, but getting them, that's Ethan right there, getting them to do this and sitting in the car, I was like, that could work, because I knew that, when you have those brother and sister type arguments and stuff like that, that's basically some of what I caught on film. Is just about, before the traffic stop, it was about music and what music is playing in the vehicle. He was driving and she wanted she wanted something else to be played. So I captured that. And then at the end, they were looking at us like, well, what's going on? The camera was still rolling. And I definitely kept that, definitely kept that. But you see like some powerful, she did these things, and you have to capture it at a certain time. Like I say, Amari caught these also. You had to catch them at certain times, high speed camera. And they did amazing jobs. So I was glad to work with them on those types of things. And like I said, that will be updated after I finish the This Is It project. I will go through the This Is It photos, but we're already at 8 o'clock. I'll tell you about This Is It though. This Is It was founded in 1959 by Frank and Mattie Jones. And so they needed someone to capture this project. Well, they captured the project. They had someone to film it, but they needed someone to edit it. So I came in to edit the project. And so I'm still working on that now before I get on the other project, get back on the bigger picture. But I want to make sure that I've covered anything that you might have questions on. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll be glad to answer those either now, or you could email me any way possible, either way. So the floor is open. Okay, nobody so far? Okay, so I'll do a little plug. So with media, I did some media stuff with this company. It's Houston, and I can send y'all the website. And I'm actually wearing a shirt. This is like one of the neighborhoods from the north side. But right now, you could use my code, the legacy code, and when you go to their webpage, you could save money on their webpage. Um, Basically, this is one of the shirts. If you can see that, the myhouston.square.site. And when you check out, put in the legacy code, they'll give you $5 off of your order. And tell them I sent you. I mean, that's when you put legacy in, that means you've come through me, but also reach out to them. They have a lot of different shirts with Houston and a lot of beautiful things that that I get a lot of compliments on. So check them out. They're homegrown. I think some of them are engineers and musicians and stuff like that. They're a team, but check them out and tell them I sent you. All right. And that's the end for me. If you have any questions, like I said, you could email me. I did email the link, of course, to Miss Avelina Holmes, and she could like forward that to you again. But thank you. If you have any questions about being a filmmaker, being a mathematician, I can still answer some questions on those things, but being an entrepreneur. Also, anybody on here, if you're in culinary arts, I have a few people that you could talk to also with This Is It, and maybe also Catfish Station. And they're a seafood restaurant. So just reach out to me, and, Miss Holmes has my information.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shawnre. That was awesome. Lessons learned, and the skills are transferable, and I think you always mention document, document, document. So we have to keep, not only tell the story, but we also have to make sure that it's documented as well. And we appreciate you. Also, I know you had been saying for years you wanted to expand on the ACT-SO with the participation of the students. So I think that's a good start by them being involved in the film and the aspect and utilizing their talents inside of the work that you were doing. So I think that's valuable going forward for the students to get a chance to experience, because everybody doesn't get a chance to leave Houston and Texas and go all over the U.S. and the world and everything. So that aspect brings the world to them right here. So we hope that we'll have some students that be able to do that category and all the categories this year as well. But the pandemic has allowed us a little time to put some of our creative juices together, or not. But go ahead.
One more thing that I was going to say, do not wait till Friday to do your film or your project, any project, whatever category you're in. Do not wait until that week to do your project. We can tell, the judges can tell in any category, because once we go to lunch, they're like, oh, they must have just done that when we're doing that nice spaghetti dinner and everything. Oh, they've been up since at 4 o'clock and you still trying to get your stuff in. Please do not wait until that week. It's going to stress you out. Do it. What's the deadline this year? Do y'all have the deadlines? What are the deadlines this year?
Well, our competitions are late April, so
Start now.
It's virtual. So
start planning, even if it's virtual. Act like you're going to be face to face. Start planning right now. Write whatever you have to do. Choreograph. Get your stuff together. Do the math hypothesis that you need to do. Architecture. Start doing that now. Do not wait till the week of April 14th or 21st or 20th. Do not wait that long. I'm telling you, we are talking about y'all in the dinner. Thank you.
Well, we're having a virtual dinner. We in this virtual world right now. So that's where we are. But good advice. Good advice. For any of our students that are online on the call, if you have any questions. I think everybody's or any of our adults that are representing their student or child that couldn't be on the call?
Janelle Green is here.
Yes, ma'am. You had a question?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Shawnre, that was awesome, and I'm sure all the individuals on the call have enjoyed your presentation. And
Can I ask this real quick?
yes,
What
go ahead.
what genres are represented here? What are the categories represented in this call right now? Can y'all just kind of,
Let the students unmute themselves, or if the parents know what their student or child is participating in. Let's see. I guess nobody wants to say. that's that's
that's
okay.
okay. I'm gonna find y'all during the
Yeah,
competition, even virtually. I'm gonna find y'all.
right.
All right, that's all I wanted to know.
Miss Evelina, I'm going to
Yes.
ask Alakina, would she unmute and introduce herself?
Who is that? You asking?
Hello.
Alakina?
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Do you want me to turn on my camera?
If you would like, if you don't
It's
mind.
it's totally up to you if you want to. Just introduce
Can y'all
yourself,
can
tell
y'all
them
see
who
me?
you are, your grade level.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
not yet.
I don't know if y'all can see me. It doesn't exactly show on my screen if y'all can see me or not. Okay, there we go.
There
Hi.
we go. Okay.
My name's Alakina Garcia. I'm an 11th grader. I'm 16, about to be 17. I'm going to be participating in the culinary competition. But
What
yeah,
school?
that's me.
Name your school that you attend.
I go to Northside High School, or previously known as Jefferson Davis.
Thank you. I think some of our students have dropped off because I saw them leave the room. But if they don't want to speak, that's okay. Well, we're past 8 o'clock tonight, but that's all right. We will not have a enrichment next week. Next week is we're in the era of awards, different award ceremonies going on. So the NAACP will have its image awards on Saturday, March the 27th. Well, actually, all of next week is award week. There's events going on virtually all next week. And that was one of the reasons not to have an enrichment next week, because it's a busy week. And then the following week we will have our last group enrichment 2 Fridays from now. So, but that's group enrichment. But there will be small meetings in the various categories. Hospitality and culinary are their own programs, and they have their own guidelines and specific rules. So pretty much those categories are off the table. We did have a few other students signed up, but when I called them and asked them, I said, you're not a part of a certified program, then they kind of understood. But with those 2 categories, they have to be in a certified culinary program at their school. So, but all the other categories are still open for the students to register and get busy with their project.
Are you still doing culinary on, is like weekend to weekend? Is it back to back kind of?
Well, culinary, right now, all the categories are virtual, except for we're trying to get the culinary to not to be virtual. So
it would take place the next weekend after that, possibly again?
right now we have a date out there. That's Miss Sargent is over culinary. So with that, and it won't be open to the public. So unfortunately, even last year, our competition virtual is not open to the public. So, but that's where we are with that. Yeah, but it will have its own time frame whenever that we get the approval from that in that respect.
Ms. Holmes, how are we doing with students signing up for the competition?
They are still signing up. I do, as we speak, there's some are signing up right now. We have about 24 categories that they're signed up, which is about, right now, about 7 more than we had last year.
Okay.
But they're still signing up in all the categories.
Okay, but you don't have a number of students?
I do. I'd rather not say
Okay.
in this setting. Right. Not enough to say it like that. Right. And you know, a lot of the students wait till the last moment to sign up, but I told them they need to be signing up quick because, you know, it takes time to for the students to prepare their projects and whatnot. So, but if we don't have anything else, I appreciate all those who were able to get on. We had a lot more that signed up for, but like I said, sometimes people forget when it's time to log in to the programs. So I understand, and it's still spring break. People still in trying to get that last little spring break in before school starts back next week. But that's where we are, and I appreciate those. Is there anybody else that want to have a word before we drop off? Some put theirs in this chat, so their comments in the chat. So we appreciate that. And if nothing else, you can exit. The committee members, they could stay on, but everybody else could exit.
Thank y'all for inviting me.
You're quite welcome anytime.
Right.
We kind of like you.
A little bit, huh? Just a little bit.
A bit.
I think y'all all right too. Y'all okay?
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Right.
All right. See y'all soon.